And welcome back to the Kiosk Presents. Joining me today is Natalie Fox, Director of Patient Outreach for the Cancer Hope Network, and Paula Anastasia, Registered Nurse. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the Kiosk Presents in Buffalo and Western New York.
Well, thanks for having us.
A lot of people undergo chemotherapy each year, but how many people are affected? How many people undergo the therapy?
650,000 people go through chemotherapy each year alone, and last year 1.6 million people were diagnosed with cancer.
That's a lot of people. It's a little more than I was expecting. And chemo is not a gentle treatment. While it can be the best treatment for some people, it's actually really harsh, and a lot of people don't do well on chemo. How do we support the people that it was decided it's best for, and how do we keep them with their spirits up while they're going through a very harsh process?
Well, remember, Steve, that every cancer diagnosis has a different chemotherapy regimen. So not all chemos are the same, and some you're correct, some are very harsh, and some are very well tolerated, but the doctors and nurses will present the information and the side effects and how to manage it. But generally, the reason we're here is because November is National Caregiver Awareness Month, and the caregivers have that additional responsibility and burden helping their loved one through this. So even though we provide the information, they're still overwhelmed and need more. So we often will refer them to a website called chemocoach.com, and that provides individual information for their specific needs. Anything from insurance to chemotherapy side effects, how to manage them, and psychological support.
There's a lot of issues going on with, there can be changes. Some people have changes to their appearance because of it. Some people lose weight, some people lose their hair, depending on the specific treatment and how it affects their body. And that can change a lot about how they think of themselves.
Yes.
What is your best advice to a caregiver who's just, let's say it's a parent or a spouse that is helping a loved one out? What is your best advice for them?
I think it's important for caregivers to remember that they also need to take care of themselves. They need to make sure they're getting enough sleep, nutrition, exercise, and they can take time for themselves. Doesn't mean that they don't love or care about their loved one, but they need to stay healthy in order to give good health. And again, going to some of these resources that we mentioned is very helpful, and they can also provide one-on-one care, volunteer care, and I'll let Natalie talk about that.
Right, yeah. Through the Cancer Hope Network, we can provide cancer patients and their caregivers with matching them with a trained volunteer who had a similar cancer experience. So it's good. They can talk to somebody who's been there and who got through it and can help them get through it.
That's fantastic. You have someone who's more experienced, who's already been through it, to act like a mentor to both the caregiver and the patient themselves.
Exactly.
And they can find that at chemocoach.com.
Chemocoach.com will help them find the mentor like that, as well as giving them good advice on how to take care of their loved ones, right?
Correct.
Fantastic. Oh, that sounds like a pretty good site. Is there any other good sources of information for somebody who really wants to dive into this and make sure they are well prepared before a loved one goes into chemo?
Well, actually, on the chemocoach.com site, there are a lot of different resources as well, links, websites that would probably be very helpful.
And very user-friendly.
So it's one stop for everything you could need.
Exactly, the one-stop shop.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to us about it. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't necessarily know where to ask for help, and hopefully they'll see this and learn that they can that there is a resource just for them to help them get through these hard times.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much for joining us here in Buffalo and West New York on the Kiosk Presents.
Great, thank you for having us.